had lots of them. Tattoos are your own private business. If you don't have any, get them where nobody can see them. Because it makes a difference in business and just about you as a person of drawing on your body. It's your own personal choice. But I'm a business professor, so I want to help make sure my students are going to business. So the pointers are take the initiative, volunteer, and then they're going to tell you the real story, but I'm telling you the mother and the professor's part of it. Volunteer. Get to know your professors, but don't suck up to them. They know the suck ups. Like, hi, how are you? I'm just going to come by. Don't be that, but just go and be and ask questions. Just ask about what they do, what they participate in. Definitely get involved in organizations on campus and take a leadership role. Whether it's a secretary, treasurer, vice president, president, some people are not going to fight you for those positions, so volunteer where you can, because it's going to make a difference when you get out of what are the skill sets you built up in college. My son, who's at the University of Pennsylvania, says, can I stay one more year? I'm like, absolutely not. I've been here for 4 years, and that 4 years is ending next May. But I understand that he wanted to take more courses that he did not have a chance to when he was trying to build his major. So, get involved, take the initiative, become a good team player. I just saw you all demonstrate excellent team player aptitude. So, that's what I have to say. And you can ask me any questions from my mother's perspective and also as a person in academia. Okay.
And you'll get a chance to go back. So this is
Amina.
Right. Thank you. This is
Karina.
This is
Faye.
This is
Zinnia.
All right, quickly.
Amina. Karina. Faye.
And just remembering names is super duper critical and important.
Yes. So we're here to learn. So what I want you girls to do is just say your name again for the ones that didn't get it right. Where you're from and where you're going to school. It could be the same, it could be different. And how did you pick your school? And if you got any financial aid, or if you look for that financial aid. Let's just start with that, just to introduce yourself, and then we'll have a couple more questions. So,
I'll start. I'm Yesenia. I'm from San Diego, California, and I go to San Diego State University. And the reason why I chose to stay home was because it was the most economical for my family. Since I'm a twin sister, two of us were going to go to college. So for the best way to just help my parents out, we decided to stay home. Luckily, we got financial aid, and so our tuition was paid for, but there's still outside costs like books, parking, where it still comes to count, but that's why I picked up another job. And I do not live on campus my first year, which I do not regret, but do see the side where I wish I was on that part, just to get more of the college field. But I decided to stay home, so I have the teenager life that people do decide to go stay home, that aspect of it. And the reason why I chose civil engineering was because I always loved math and science, but I wasn't really into this whole science field, and I wasn't committed to the math world. So I like critical thinking, I like planning out things, and so I felt engineering was the best suit for me. And now into my open division, I absolutely love everything in civil, and so now it's just choosing which field I want to, or maybe just do a general aspect.
Hi, I'm Faye. Originally, I'm from China. I did my undergraduate at Shanghai Jiao Tong University, and I came to University of Pennsylvania for my PhD, and I just finished it this month. PhD in electrical engineering.
Okay.
And my PhD research is actually very related to auto-driving cars. So I have been working in the robotics lab of UPenn for 6 years, and I've done some theoretical work about how to make the auto car more secure. If somebody wants to hack your car, and how to detect it and keep your system resilient. And I've also been working on like a resource allocation algorithm, see if we want to allocate a weekend auto car to pick up some potential passengers, how to make the whole system more efficient to reduce idle distance, to reduce basically CO2 emissions, things like that. So that's my research. And in terms of how to pick major during undergraduate, honestly, when I just graduated from high school, I did not have much idea about what should be the real engineer work, but I just know I'm very good at math and physics, and I want to do something really seems challenging, so I choose electrical engineering. And during my undergraduate, I tried different types of lifestyle. I have been tried like the students' union, I've been the vice president, but finally I decided, it seemed to me that the research part is the word I haven't been touched yet. So, also I'm very lucky that I got a fellowship for a PhD degree, so I just came here. And when I approached finishing, I just decided I want to stay in academia. I want to apply for assistant professor position later this year. It seems has been a long way, but finally I found something that I'm very interested in, and also I feel I should be good at. So I think I'm very lucky that I got fellowship for a PhD. I know that university here costs a lot, but I get paid to study, which is really wonderful.
So my name is Karina Carter, and I'm going into my 4th and final year in mechanical engineering at the University of Memphis in Tennessee. So I went to a program called Girls Experiencing Engineering when I was going into my 1st year of high school, run by Dr. Ivy. And at that program, I did some little fun activities, and I heard from a lot of different people who were speaking about what they did in engineering, and it helped me to learn more about the opportunities that were available to me, since none of my schools had really given me any insight into what I actually could be doing. So through all of that, I decided that I am good at math and science, and it comes easily to me and I like it, so I should probably go ahead and do engineering. And I was going to start civil engineering, and 5 days before school started, I switched to mechanical, and I have no explanation for it, but I'm really glad I did somehow. So my 1st year, I lived in the dorms on the University of Memphis campus with 8 other girls in engineering, and I hated it. But the difference is, I encourage you to think about your own personality. I'm not very social. I don't like going to parties. I like curling up in my bed and reading a book or playing a game or something. But if you're very social and you like to go out and you like nightlife and you like, being involved on campus, right, and getting into new things right when you start, then I highly suggest that you live on campus. You also need to think about your finances. So living on campus at the University of Memphis was a little expensive. And if I just stayed at home with my parents, then I would have pocketed an extra $3,000. But I selected the University of Memphis mostly because they paid me to go there. I did very well in high school, so I got a lot of scholarships. But I originally wanted to go to UC San Diego, and I applied there, and I got accepted through the 29% acceptance rate somehow, and they didn't give me a penny of scholarship money. And I didn't want to pay $60,000 a year to go there. So I decided that I would rather go to the University of Memphis and just get paid some. So quick little bit of advice. I kind of almost disagree with the being a teacher's pet and sucking up kind of thing.
I said don't suck up.
Yeah, I disagree.
Oh.
In a way. But hold on. So it's not necessarily sucking up. It's just being friendly, and it sounds like sucking up, like saying good morning every morning and, just being friendly to them so that they acknowledge you as being somebody that's approachable, and they understand that you're just a person and you're not there to just sit there and learn and be bored in their class, and you acknowledge them as a person as well. So it's not really sucking up, but
Okay, no, but I agree with her.
You know what sucking up is, right? Where you do that little extra and they know you're doing it. Professors know that. But be friendly and nice and speak, they like that.
My friends tease me about it.
Yeah,
They're
but
like, "Oh,
don't
you're sucking
go
up." I'm like,
beyond the extra, because we already know that's why you're coming to see us.
So my name is Amina. I just finished my first year at the University of Denver, in Denver where I grew up. I'm a physics major with minors in biology, math, and leadership, and I participate in a lot of student alliances and leadership programs on campus. I do live on campus. I've had some really interesting experiences and different feelings about it, but I will continue living on campus most likely all 4 years, I believe. And DU is a private school, and it's one I cannot afford by any means. Its tuition is more than what my parents make in a year. So I worked extremely hard. Like every day of my senior year in high school, I was fighting to make sure I went to college. And I agree with all the ladies in terms of like what it takes. You have to be passionate about something, and if anything, just be passionate about yourself and your dreams. Say thank you when you leave classes. That's always, do that in high school too. Say thank you when you're done with the class. What am I supposed to be answering?
So how did you, why physics? How did you pick that?
I don't like engineering. I'm sorry.
She thinks physics has nothing to do with engineering, which she'll find out.
Well, we'll see. I'm being hypocritical because I might actually pick up an engineering degree, so I'm lying to you, I'm sorry. But I like physics because I like knowing how the world works. I like knowing why things work the way they do, and then my minors are just things I'm generally interested in. I picked up leadership because I'm not just science and math. Like, I have a lot of passion for social justice, and I don't want to let that go. I don't want to let that, die out in any way. So that's why I'm taking my leadership classes and getting that minor.
I would like to get one more perspective, just because most of you stayed home or close enough to home, and then Faye's a little different. She did like the opposite of jumping over the ocean. Any of the mentors grew up somewhere and then went to school somewhere else?
Great. So I grew up in Central California, a pretty small town, Central California, not a big city. And I knew that I wanted to leave the state of California for college. So most of my graduating class stayed in the state. They think California is amazing and it's the center of the universe, and I knew that it wasn't, and I wanted to experience something new. So I had narrowed down my college search to mostly Jesuit schools, and I ended up going to school in St. Louis, Missouri. So I went to St. Louis University. I actually got financial aid there, but I also got financial aid to UC Berkeley and turned it down because, again, I wanted to leave the state of California. So I moved 2,000 miles away from my immediate family and about 800 miles away from my extended family to really just like branch out on my own and figure it out. And one thing I will mention that was notable is it's like when you move in, your parents are there, they like help you get your dorm set up, and then what my school did is they had like a send-off lunch, and I remember my dad had to take a business call, and my mom and I are sitting on a bench bawling. Like they are about to fly home, and I am going to be left alone in this state I've never been, where I only know my roommate and I've met her for like 10 minutes. And my mom asks me, do you think you made a mistake? And I just say, yes. And I am having the most emotional reaction. Like, I'm not a crier. And it was terrible. And her response was, just make it to Thanksgiving. Make it to Thanksgiving, you're coming home, and you can always come back to California. It's like, try something. Like, try it. If it's terrible, it's like 4 months of your life. You can come back, but like, try it. I stayed all 4 years, and it was a great decision. But in that moment, that like moment of weakness, had I said, yes, take me home, I would have regretted it forever.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool.